About a year ago, I made a course on Udemy that got up to 90 students, which is insane in my opinion. But unfortunately, it didn't turn out the way I wanted it to turn out. And pretty much this course right now is that remastered version of the older course. That means all the content in here gets explained a lot more thoroughly, a lot more straightforward, and to the point. So if you guys are looking for a more advanced course, I highly recommend that you guys look for another one, because this course will only cover the basics and the foundation of editing videos when it comes to YouTube. This course will still equip you with a lot of useful information. For example, mindset, resources and tools that you can use to make your videos, what kind of cuts there are, what important elements are in videos and what people put in them, and how you can use those techniques to apply them to your own content. Finding your niche, defining your audience, competitor analysis, basically everything. Before you even get to the fun stuff like cool transitions, cool effects, cool graphics, there is a lot of foundational things you need to know beforehand. I'll be teaching you the basics and giving you actionable steps, how you can apply them with your own content. And I can't wait to go on this journey with you. And yeah, if you have any questions, ask right away. And that's it. I'll see you there. When it comes to content creation, before we're going to do anything, there's one really important thing that we need to figure out before we start with content creation. And that is what kind of mindset we need going into it. This is basically like running a business. You're basically selling a product, which is your videos. You're trying to get to your audience, which is your target audience. Basically, you need to find ways to get them to click on your videos. YouTube is basically just running a business. Or before we get started with anything, the most important thing that we need right now is an understanding of what we need to be like. So first off, at the very top, this is the most important here. The most important thing about content creation is that you're passionate about it. So before making any kind of videos, are you passionate about what you're making here? Is this really the kind of content that you can envision yourself making? You need to pick a niche that you're passionate about, that you really care for, that you find yourself having a lot of enjoyment in. Next thing you need is to be patient. This is going to take you years, as I said earlier. This is probably going to take a very, very long time. Again, I talked to many YouTubers. There was even a point, I think, where I even did some interviews for my course here. And I talked to 5 different YouTubers, and I asked them how long it took them to get to their point where they are at right now. And I can tell you that it took them all about 3 years. Like, again, that's not like a number that's actually proven or tested, but it took them all over 3 years to get to this point. This isn't something that you can just do quickly, that you can just like learn over the week. You can definitely learn it, and you can improve and learn fast if you're really passionate about it, but this is going to take you a long time to get there. So you need to be patient. And consistency is also really important, because if you're going to be learning, if you want to learn, making a video every 6 months is not going to be getting you anywhere. If you really want to grow your channel and see success as well, for example, with your editing, for example, then you need to be consistent and you need to learn consistently. Because if you're, again, making a video every 6 months, you're probably not editing a lot and not really improving, because you need to really put yourself in there to learn. You need to really try and put your effort in to learn. And you need to be consistent. You need to be consistent and learn and grow your knowledge. And you can't do that if you take a huge month break in between. And starting with your first video, even though it's bad, is probably the best thing you can do to get started. You also need to be very open to learning, because you're going to be doing a lot of that. Even Mr. Beast, for example, a YouTuber with like almost 300 million subscribers, is still doing it. The moment you stop learning and improving is the moment your competitors are going to destroy you. Because the internet is so fast paced. So many things change. So many new things happen every single year. A few years ago, Minecraft videos looked like simple Let's Plays. People would just play games, they would edit them, add some subtitles, and those videos would do pretty well. But now we're in a day and age where your video needs some sort of goal, some sort of drive for the viewer. You can still do well with that kind of content, but if you don't have an audience going for you, let's say, for example, like you already need a pre-existing audience. And if you don't have a pre-existing audience, videos like that aren't going to work. And that's part of the strategy, obviously, but you understand where I'm coming from. One tip I can give you is to, for example, if there's something you don't enjoy doing, is there a way you can get someone else involved? If you want to, you can try to get like a mini job, for example, to, you know, pay someone to do the work for you. I mean, in all seriousness, there's mini jobs that pay you $400 per month, for example. What you can do is hand off your work. Patience and consistency. That is a really hard topic as well, for example, because that's going to require a lot of training. So don't overwork yourself. This is the first thing I would say. For example, I never could really edit long form videos for the life of me. So what I then started doing is actually just cutting down the work underneath, basically for 7 days. Again, take it slow, work your way up. Don't rush yourself into it, and don't push yourself into it. Maybe you can use like a habit tracker. And maybe another thing you can do is, for example, understand yourself better. So why is this so hard for you to do? Like, just question yourself. Try to get to the root of the problem. Maybe content creation isn't for you to begin with. A lot of YouTube has to do with competitor analysis, and you're gonna need to do it somewhere down the line. Before you even make your channel, you need to do a competitor analysis. You need to understand your niche and your competitors in your field. So you need to be open to learning and improving, because again, the world's very fast paced. So what can you do to, again, be so open to learning and improving? So again, take it slow. Create some content for fun. Whatever, honestly, you feel passionate about at the moment, do it. For example, again, my YouTube channel, I only started because I felt like it. I legit made shorts for a month. I had fun doing it. Then I made videos for 3 months, which was also really fun doing it. So take it slow and test the waters. Content creation is about thinking creatively. So again, in the end of the day, if you really want to make content, but you can't, you want to put yourself out there, you want to have your own audience, you want to create videos, you want to entertain people, then try to think creatively how to get to yourself to that point. It's hard, and sometimes it's not going to be fun, but you can maybe create a plan. Something that's maybe easier, or that could help you to get to that point. To sum it up, you need passion, you need to be patient, you need to be consistent, you need to be open to learning and improving. If you have those 5 things, then I recommend you to move on. Again, these things are really hard to do. And these are things that, again, people down the line as adults still struggle with. I mean, this is probably going to be something that's still going to chase me for many, many years. And this is going to be a problem that's probably going to chase me for a while. You can either train yourself to get used to this, or you can try to find ways to overcome this problem in other ways. YouTube is all about thinking creatively, so try to find creative ways to solve this problem. And that's pretty much that. And I'll see you in the next lecture. Today we're going to be talking about resources and tools. Over the past years, I collected a lot of tools and services that I use to this day when it comes to content creation that has made my life a whole bunch easier. So let's get started right away. I highly recommend CapCut. The reason why is it has a lot of great tools. It is super beginner friendly. And even I, as a person who's been editing for 6 years, still use CapCut to this day, for example. The caption you're seeing on the bottom of the screen are completely automated with CapCut because they made it through AI, and it saves me legit hours of work. But yeah, pretty much it has a lot of great tools. It is basically free to use. It does have a few fancy features, but they're not necessary, and you can make some great stuff with this. If you don't want to use CapCut and you feel like you want to sit down and use something even fancier, then I recommend you use HitFilm. I used HitFilm throughout the first 2 or 3 years of my content creation journey because it's completely free. You can do a lot of fancy cuts. It has a bunch of crazy effects and everything you need to create some really good stuff. It has all the simple things you need to learn and try your hands at some fancier stuff. And it's super good. So I highly recommend it. And yeah, you can switch between both editing softwares. You don't really need to stick to only one of them. But I mainly use CapCut, for example, to do quicker edits here and there on demand when I need to. I have a few platforms that I can recommend to you right now that actually helps you find music for completely free. So Film Music is my #1 option here, for example. Let's say, for example, I want to download this song called Star Citizens Titans. All you need to do is click download MP3, and it's going to download the song for you. You click yes, I accept, and then you have to paste this part into your description here. And let's say you got your music, but what about visuals? You know, maybe you need some graphics, maybe you need some videos. Well, you also have something for that here, for example. You have pixels here. So I just search up school, and I get a bunch of things that are related to school, for example. But yeah, I got a bunch of school related things, and all you need to do is download them. And again, same thing as Film Music is if you download it, you're going to have to probably give them credit, or not even that. You don't even need to give them credit if you want to. Let's say you don't want to use pixels. Well, then you can use Unsplash. And with all these pictures, you obviously need to somehow edit them if necessary. So there's a few photo editing softwares that I can recommend to you right now. First thing I recommend to you is Canva. Canva is a photo editing software with a lot of templates. It is a great starting point for beginners when it comes to photo editing. Photo editing and design is very complicated, and it requires years and years and years of learning. So as I said, Canva is great for that. Let's say you want advanced photo editing software. Well, then I can recommend to you GIMP. GIMP I started using just recently after I got caught using the cracked version of Photoshop. So I started using GIMP. And in the past, I also used paint.net to create my thumbnails for my videos. And it has helped me a lot. It has a lot of fancy effects. It can do basically a lot of things that Photoshop can do. It's not amazing, but it definitely gets the job done. And same goes with GIMP. The last two tools I want to share with you are a few organizatory tools. For example, TeamUp. I use TeamUp to keep a lot of people on my team on track with some deadlines and other things like that. When I need certain videos, what is coming up, what kind of events we have coming up, when the next meeting is, a lot of things like that. And another tool I highly recommend to you is Metricool. Metricool makes a lot of social media related work easier. You can cross-post to 4 different platforms. You can manage people's social media if you really even want to. You can, for example, add people to your team. Those are paid features, but they're still amazing. You can even get monthly reports and see how every single one of your analytics are doing, for example. And finally, last but not least, I want to say that the Google services are great as well. Docs, Drive, let's see what else. Gemini as well recently. Google Forms is amazing. I'm going to be updating the resources page here probably a lot over the next few months and see if I can cram anything else in that's new and fancy. So if you need any resources or something like that, just come back to this video and this should pretty much set you up for the entirety of the course. You now have a video editing software. You now have a photo editing software. Now you have a website to use to find pictures, videos, music, and you have a lot of helpful services to keep you organized with your work. That's pretty much it for this lecture, and I'll see you in the next one. Today we're going to be talking about finding your niche. Before you even start editing, there's one thing you should do, and that is find your niche. It's a multi-step process. There's a lot of steps when it comes to finding your niche and understanding what you're really editing here. So let's get started. Step 1. What are your passionate interests? Your viewers are going to feel if you're passionate and interested in the content that you're making. They're going to be able to see it from you. There's going to be bad days and good days still, but still people are going to be able to pursue this for a longer amount of time. This is a process that takes a lot of time, so don't rush it. Really try to figure out what you find interesting. If you figured out what you find interesting and you're passionate about it, then go try to find a genre that bonds with step 1. So pretty much your passion and interests. Let's say I'm really passionate about making these funny moment videos. I really like this game. I'm really interested in Minecraft. Okay, let's make some Minecraft funny moments videos. Just an example. That's a really generic niche, obviously. But again, you can succeed in that area. You can still succeed, obviously. It's just going to be a high baseline, which we're going to get into later. So it's best to go to a genre that doesn't have a lot of competition usually. But let's say you have figured out your genre that bonds well with your passions and interests. Then we're going to go over to step 3, competitor analysis. In this genre, can you imagine yourself competing with the people in your niche? Can you imagine yourself creating such thumbnails as other people? Do the editing that they do the content that they do, maybe even better? Of course, you don't have to just copy them or blatantly copy them. Do your own stuff. Get experimentative. But I'm just saying, the baseline that people are drawing from the content, can you exceed that and compete with those people? Because in step 4, that's basically what it's all about. Determine the baseline and expectations. Expectations are related to the audience or the people that are watching the kind of content and the baseline that people have made for it. So what you can see, for example, is that, okay, in this niche, you do not have a chance if you don't have a good gaming setup, good content, and a high production quality. Determine the similarities you see between bigger creators in this niche. Of course, make the goals yourself. You have to set the goals yourself, your own expectations and stuff like that. If you're just doing it for fun, then do it for fun. Let's say you actually want to see success. Well, then these things are super important. But create a baseline for your content. Here's another example. Let's go down. So pretty much you can see like levels. To become level 10, you need a good setup. That means that you have a chance at getting recognized and even having people watch your videos. Let's say your mic is so hysterically bad that people can't even watch the first 10 seconds of it. Well, that's already a boundary you're going to need to cross first off. That's a baseline you need to meet to see this success. You can see these lines as limits, for example. The further you go, at level 50, for example, you need a whole production crew. People expect at this area or at this amount of views, people expect like a high quality video, maybe like super good thumbnails, super good content. Just overall, the better your content is, the higher the chances that more people are going to like your content. There's people that don't watch you for many different reasons. This could be, for example, your mic, your camera, maybe the crew that you're filming with, maybe the camera quality, maybe the editing is choppy, maybe the music isn't good. There's a lot of different reasons why that could be. And pretty much that means you're going to kind of create a bit of a vision for that, you know. Basically, you just kind of want to turn this into a graph that you can look at and understand and see if it's possible in your case. Let's say you have determined that this is something you can imagine yourself doing, then create a plan to meet baseline. So pretty much to get from level to level to level to level to level. For example, I have a good setup. I want to do content creation again, but there's many reasons why I cannot. For example, I have a good setup, but I don't have a production crew. I'm missing an editor, I'm missing a thumbnail artist, and I really want to make some high quality content, but I can't because I don't have enough time in my day to do it. Well, okay, so what is your plan to make more time or to maybe hire people? Well, I made a decision to go get a job because I can't imagine myself doing these kinds of jobs. I edited for many, many years, but I really want to be a director and lead people on, which is why I need to overcome the baseline by pretty much creating a plan. So let's say I want to make Roblox horror game videos. So pretty much with you, for example, I showed you earlier how to edit videos and how to exactly do it. Now it's your turn to make the research and see, okay, how can I utilize my editing skills now to create this style of content that I want to make? And let's start by searching up Roblox horror games. This is a niche I operated in not too long ago with my content itself.
Noah, what happened? Trespasser is like not my neighbor, except it's free roam. You have to manage things like emergency exits, generators, and even hospital patients, all while meeting your resident quota and preventing doppelgangers from entering the building. As always, make sure to like the video, comment for the algorithm, subscribe, and I hope you enjoy. Yeah.
So that was just an example right there. But pretty much you can see these horror game videos. The reason why I decided to pick these kinds of videos is because you can have a rather simple editing style and still have them be entertaining. The Roblox niche honestly has a really low entry level. All you really need is a good mic and you can already get started pretty much. In the first year of me creating Roblox content, I hit 10,000 subscribers. I mostly assume that is because of my editing style, because it doesn't really feed into the content too well, or the type of content I was making. And to me, this was very doable. The production quality was very good. The content itself was recreatable. I already had the existing setup for it, and all I needed to do is to create a plan to meet the baseline. So the first thing I tried to do is, I had a good setup, is I tried to initially edit the videos myself. And it did get me there a pretty fair amount. I would even consider it got me to level 20 if we went off this. I got up to level 20. I started to make videos and I got up to thousands of views of people that even watched to the end, which was amazing to me. Like, I managed to make people watch to the end and actually keep them interested, which was great. But then I couldn't go to level 30 because I couldn't innovate. There's the cycle when it comes to creating content where it's like you need to constantly update your editing style, you need to research, you need to learn. You need to, again, learn, change your editing style, research, update your editing style. It's basically a cycle. And I knew where I had to change my editing style, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it because it was too difficult and it was too much for me. So I changed my plan. I tried to force it, but I couldn't. So my plan now is to get a job and, for example, use $200 or maybe $400 to get an editor. It's very possible. Editors are out there and there's some affordable options as well that can get me to that point where I want to be. And yeah, that's pretty much the end of the course. I already gave you the rundown. Obviously, I can't help you that much when it comes to finding your niche and initially understanding where you or what you want to do. That is something that only you can decide. That is more like where you need one-on-one consultations for, which I do have them open on Fiverr. If you're interested in that, I'll link it down below, and then you can go ahead and schedule a call with me there, and I'll help you there. But that's your decision at the end of the day. And that's pretty much that. Now we're going to be talking about important elements in videos. There's always a few elements that you're going to see all the time when it comes to video editing. You're going to see them in every single video over and over and over and over and over again. When it comes to video editing, you have these following effects that you're going to notice in mostly every single video you're going to watch, which is cutting, pacing, video flow, visuals, graphics, sound effects, and music. These are the kind of video elements that you're going to find yourself using a lot when it comes to video editing. These are the main elements that you're going to notice in every single video, and pretty much get to know them because you're going to be using them a lot. Let me first off explain to you what each and every single one of these are and why I'm mentioning them today and why they're so important. So first off, cutting. Obviously, cutting is going to be in here because cutting makes sense. You need to cut out the stuff that is boring in the video, the stuff that is not interesting, the stuff that's unnecessary, and just overall basically cutting down the pieces of content that aren't so good as of the other ones. For example, pacing is just like, for example, how quick are you going through the cuts? Video flow is how the cuts feel. Does it feel fluid, or does it feel like you're just suddenly halting the video at any given point? For example, the next area is visuals and graphics. They're kind of the same thing. Visuals is more like B-roll, so footage that just complements the main video, or graphics like I am doing right now. This is basically kind of like a graphic. It's a lazy way of doing it. It's not really interesting. There isn't like any cool statistics or something like that, but it adds a little bit more oomph to the thing that you're doing. And lastly, we have sound effects and music. Sound effects and music, when combined, can create emotions, create suspension, and overall just highlight certain aspects of your video editing. But pretty much what we're going to do now is we're going to categorize these things, because there is a level of priority when it comes to doing this kind of stuff here. There is a certain way of editing videos. Obviously, you could start at the sound effects, and then you could start at the visuals and the graphics and the video flow and the pacing and the cutting and all, and so on and so on and so on. The first thing that anyone should do when it comes to editing, first thing I recommend you doing is focusing on the cutting, the pacing between the cuts, and the video flow. These are the foundation of your video. Before you do anything visual wise, sound effect or music wise, you want to make sure that the video is transitioning from clip to clip to clip very smoothly and feels good. So it's super important that you get this foundation right. Let's say you have a weird cut. You have a lot of great cuts here, and suddenly you have a really long section that feels very out of place. And let's say you put visuals on top of this and all that other fun stuff, like you put a visual here, and then you put some sound effects on the bottom over here. Well, then it's just like you're going to have to basically get rid of this. If you get the cutting and the pacing right from the start, then you're going to save yourself a lot of, fixing down the line. The next thing I would do then, in this case, would be visuals. Honestly, I would recommend doing graphics and visuals secondary, and then lastly, sound effects and music. This isn't something that you have to do. Having a clear idea of like, it's kind of like subdividing your tasks, for example, right? First thing you're going to do is the cutting, the pacing, and the video flow. And then you're just going to focus on the cutting. If you're doing everything at once, if you're doing everything at once, let's say you do visuals. Okay, like you do the cutting, then you do visuals, then you do sound effects. Then your work process is just going to take like so much longer because you're doing cutting, visuals, sound effect, everything at once. Well, then you're going to be dedicating a lot of time to a very small portion, and you're going to be very slowly proceeding through the video by doing these things. You start with the first layer, then the second layer, and then finally the third layer. And this one's the most important, because if you mess something up here, then the video is going to become unwatchable. It doesn't matter how beautiful a video is. It doesn't matter how beautiful a video is, how many graphics it has, how good the audio and the music is. If the video pacing feels off, the entire experience is already like pretty much like ruined. If the foundation isn't there yet, if the flooring is messed up, if the flooring isn't like, let's say like the concrete hasn't settled or something like that, then the house is going to just collapse. It's going to break apart, and pretty much you're going to notice that like it doesn't matter how pretty your house is, in the end the video just doesn't feel right. So that's pretty much already everything explained. And next time we're going to look into the first layer of video editing. That means cutting, pacing, and video flow, and how do you even cut a video. We're going to look at that. I'm going to teach you the ways there, and I will see you there. Today, we're going to be talking about cutting, pasting, and video flow. In the last lecture, as far as I know, we talked about the important elements in videos, and today we're going to be tackling the first category, the first layer of video editing. So usually how I like to edit my videos is starting with the cutting, the pasting, and then the video flow, then visuals, graphics, and then sound effect and music. Basically, layer 1, 2, and 3. The reason why is like visuals and graphics, sound effects, and music, we built them up on the base of the video, which is the cutting, pasting, and video flow. Basically, cutting, pasting, and video flow is a super important element when it comes to video editing. And today we're going to be talking about it. When it comes to cutting, pasting, and video flow, it depends on the niche. If you operate in a different niche, for example, let's say you're Mr. Beast. You do challenge type videos like Mr. Beast, and pretty much for that type of content, you're going to need a more fast-paced video. I highly recommend you look at the competitor analysis lecture before looking at this video, because before you get to the editing, you need to have an understanding of what you need to edit. Every niche on YouTube has a different editing style. Sometimes slower is better, sometimes faster is better. Sometimes more visually appealing is better, sometimes more audibly appealing is better. It sounds weird, but I highly recommend you check out the competitor analysis section or the lecture before looking at this section here. I had a consultation call with someone the other day, for example, that basically does let's plays and reviews. He wants an audience that enjoys him playing games and stuff like that. So we have challenge content and let's play content. So here for let's play content, it's sometimes better to go slow or little to no cuts. While on the other hand, for example, for challenge videos, it might be more convenient to do more cuts to keep the viewer hooked, while it might be more advantageous for let's play videos to be more relaxing and laid back, and for challenge videos to be more intense. The advice I'm about to give you pretty much depends on your niche. So first off, just a heads up, we're going to be using CapCut to edit these videos. Let's get started with the simplest cut of them all, the jump cuts. So first off, what you're going to be doing is you're going to look for the first syllable. So we're going to zoom in on this clip. Let's have a listen. This is why. There you go. That's the first syllable for me. And now you're going to look for the last syllable in your sentence. The world. Now we're going to review it. Every time when you make a cut, you're going to review your clip. You're going to listen to it and make sure it sounds good, because that's really important. This is why AI is going to take over the world. It doesn't sound right now, does it? Keep that little note of me going D there, because it sounds like I'm saying world and I'm not saying the letter D. The world. Let me zoom down here real quick. You're going to make a cut at the first syllable. I'm using the shortcut Control B. AI technology is rapidly advancing. Cut. That's the last syllable. All right, and now we're going to review it. This is why AI is going to take over the world. AI technologies. And that's a jump cut for you. Now, we're going to get into something more advanced, which is the J cut and the L cut. A J cut, which is what we're going to be discussing right now. A J cut, the audio plays before the video plays. The L cut. An L cut is a type of film cut where the audio from the previous scene continues to play over the next scene. We're playing the clip, and we're cutting over to the next clip, and there's still some audio playing down here. For example, that's an L cut. So now what we're going to be learning is B-roll. A B-roll is really easy to explain, and I'm just going to give you a heads up. It is so easy. So B-roll initially is just supplemental footage, and it basically helps with the variety of the main footage, and it provides more visual context. This is why AI is going to take over the world. AI technology is rapidly advancing, and it's getting used every single day. And that was, for example, the B-roll right here at the beginning. I just played the video fully so you get an idea of what it looks like now with the J cut, the L cut, and the B-roll. Pacing depends on the niche and the current situation in your video. And video flow is how the overall cutting and pacing feels together. Does it feel good and smooth? Is there at any point where it interrupts? Does it feel natural and normal? Pretty much that. And with cutting, there isn't a lot of special cuts. Again, it's very simple, but if you don't know how to cut a video correctly, it could genuinely ruin your video and make it unwatchable. It is important to get this step down correctly. And that's pretty much everything for this lecture. And I'll see you in the next one. We're going to be covering the second layer of video editing when it comes to visuals and graphics. When it comes to visual and graphics, we're mainly talking about everything related to visuals. So the video screen, what's on the screen, what's happening, are you keeping the viewer entertained? Is the video visually appealing? Is there anything you can do to make a scene even more impactful or to convey your message even better? Basically, all of that stuff. So pretty much the second layer, as mentioned here, visuals and graphics is what we're going to be covering today. When it comes to visuals, you can do, for example, keyframing. So pretty much the first thing that you could consider a visual or that can help you create impactful visuals is keyframing. And keyframing doesn't necessarily have something to do with visuals, but the reason I'm mentioning it is because there are tricks you can do to make your video more interesting with it. What I do a lot in my videos is keeping movement. I don't let the scenes get boring and I keep them interesting. So this is the video screen. And what I do sometimes, I use keyframes to make the screen slowly get smaller and smaller. Of course, I don't zoom into it entirely and stuff like that and then have the black border on the outside. But I zoom into an element on the screen. This also works the other way around. Over here at the start, you can already see the visuals. Pretty much keeping the movement and keeping the viewer engaged. This is a challenge type video, so I'm adding a lot of cuts and a lot of pasting. I'm really fast paced and I want to get into the video straight away. You can also see that I use the cutaway or the B-roll method to add a bit of variety to the clip. Again, I stay on this section for a little bit too long in my opinion, but it does have movement, it does have something happening, so it's not too bad, but there should be more happening here. It's too hard of a change in video pasting. Let me go back for this. Again, the video paused, it's a little bit laggy. You can use keyframing to make your video better. You can use footage, so this could be B-roll / cutaway, or you can use graphics, which is the other thing I'll show to you now. Again, it just helps visualize what the video is about, because our goal is to explain to the viewer what the video is about and what they're going to see throughout the video. And again, me using that visual helps bring the point across and keep the viewer engaged, because they can see that, oh, there's even more to the video, so there's going to be multiple battles, which is super cool. So here, let me show you again. But yeah, you can see here, I zoomed into my hearts while I was talking about my health, basically empathizing what it's really about here. And then you can see it again. I use graphics again over here. But you can see, I used a lot of graphics, a lot of visuals, again, just to empathize points and really get them across and to really help the viewer understand. You have audio, and then you have video. This is legit one half of the experience, and that's already the video done. Next time, we're going to be talking about audio when it comes to editing, and we're going to deep dive into the music that I used in the video and the audio and the sound effects and what they did for the video to be as good as it is now.